Alright, so hello everyone and welcome back to GregTech New Horizons. In the last episode, we finally moved our ore processing to the personal dimension, while giving it a bunch of upgrades along the way, like, well, we're now using the better multi-blocks, and we're doing all the logistics via Applied Energistics instead of Project Red, which is much less laggy, and it's much faster as well. In between the episodes, I've just been sat in front of these storage buses, adding as many filters as I can, but even then, I'm still nowhere near done. I still have a bunch of this ore here that I need to filter in, which, well, that's just something that I'm going to do by myself. What I will quickly go ahead and mention right now, though, is the fact that I kind of switched the way that we're importing stuff into the ME interface. This new way of doing it is just better for overflow or things that I haven't filtered yet, because the way that we had it before was just having the input chest directly on the storage bus that has the lowest priority. And so what would happen is, let's say that we have a bunch of Lapidolite here, which I have not filtered yet. We will import that into the system, and because it has nowhere else to go, it goes back into the input chest again. Oh wait, actually, hold up. I think I did filter Lapidolite somewhere. Oh yeah, I totally already did. Hold on, let's try something else here. Zeolite for sure. So what would happen is that ore would come back to the input chest, and then it would instantly get re-extracted into the interface. And I'd have to like quickly rush over and grab it out of the chest before it keeps going on a loop over and over again, which sucks. It's kind of janky to work with that. So instead what I did is I separated the input and overflow chests. And I have a little lever here to control whether we want to input stuff into the network or not. The redstone signal goes to the block, which is activating this machine controller cover connected to the pipe. And then on the conveyor module, we have use machine processing state. So if the controller cover is on, then this guy is on. And if it's off, then, well, the conveyor is also off. So yeah, as you can see, the lever is now off and the stuff stays in the chest. Now on the overflow side of things, what I have is a item translocator. I didn't actually know these existed in GTNH, but yeah, the recipe is also not too bad. It's just a bunch of brass, aluminum, pearls. The extraction translocator has a glowstone for maximum speed. And then the receiving translocator has a piece of redstone so that we can activate it or deactivate it based on the signal. And I have this wired up in a way where if the conveyor that's on the compressed chest is on, then the translocator stays off. And if this thing is off, then the translocator turns on. As you can see, they're kind of reversed. That way the items can get extracted, and if they end up in overflow, they're gonna stay there until I actually filter them in, and then I can disable the lever, let it buffer up in the chest, and then turn it on again, and it should go to the corresponding machine. This, of course, is just temporary until I filter in most of the ores. After that, this overflow thing is not really going to be that useful, so yeah, don't worry about the fact that it looks kind of ugly right now. There's also one more change that I did to the storage subnet. I just went ahead and added an extra storage bus here for a couple of ore processing outputs that we don't want to actually end up as dusts, like galena and sphalerite, for example. Both of these I want to macerate and then ore wash, and that's it. I want to store the purified version as is. So yeah, we just have another storage bus and interface combo for that. Anyways, moving on to the subjects of today's episode, there's actually a couple of goals that I want to get done with. There's first of all going to be unlocking some more autocrafting multi-blocks. I also want to set up the Ilmanite line. And lastly, I want to upgrade our batteries here to the Lapotronic super capacitor, which is actually going to be a lot more expensive than it looks. It's definitely going to take me a while to get all the resources for this, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, we'll start off with the simplest thing today, the rutile. And for that, we're going to need to set up the extra centrifuge and electrolyzer that we didn't get to do last time. And so actually, I've already gone ahead and made a new ore processing module here. So yeah, now the minimap is actually symmetrical and it looks cool. But yeah, so let's see here. These guys are both 3x3 multi-blocks, so it's really nothing new. Oh, and if you're worried about the fact that we're only going to have one of each for now, don't worry. These guys are going to be plenty fast for what we want them to do. Even running at just EV, the speed is going to be plenty for quite some time. Alright, cool. Now that I've hooked up the power, there's only one thing left to do, which is hooking up the inputs as well. And the thing is, with these two multi-blocks, we're gonna have to do something slightly different than what we have for the other guys. These two machines here are going to be used for recycling some of the ore processing outputs into other byproducts that are much more useful. Like, you know, the lazurite. If we electrolyze this, we can get a bunch of goodies. Or like with vanadium magnetite dust, we need to centrifuge this to get vanadium, which is going to be useful. The one issue you might notice is that all of these recipes for electrolyzing the dusts need different amounts. Yeah, here you need 10, this needs 20, mica needs 38. If we don't have like enough of the lazurite to electrolyze at least once, then it's gonna stay stuck in the input bus and well, clog up the machine and not let anything else through. And that's not great, of course. So to reliably solve that problem, we're actually gonna go ahead and invest in some stocking input buses. Let's see if we can get 2 of those. Oh, okay, I'm just missing double iron plates. That's easy enough. I don't really have a circuit 2 bending machine, so I've been doing these manually so far. You can also see I've been crafting a couple of other things in preparation for today's episode. We have a bunch more circuits, some EV energy hatches, a ton of HSSG. I think I cooked like almost 300 ingots in between the episodes. You'll see why this is useful later. A couple of 64Ks. Wait, that reminds me. Hold up. Okay, yeah, while we wait for the stocking buses, I want to go ahead and take a moment here to upgrade the CPUs a little bit. Every now and then I find myself trying to request something that needs way more than 4,000 bytes. So yeah, it's definitely about time that we make some upgrades. All right, very nice. Also, there's my stocking input buses. And we're not going to get the quest because it wants the output bus and output hatch as well. Which I'm not going to do right now because it's even more platinum and I don't have that much of it. Anyways, yeah, stocking buses. So these are special in the way that they actually request items for the machine. Instead of having like an internal inventory for the thing itself, it actually makes it so that the ME system that it's connected to is the internal buffer. And so now if we like request lazurite, for example, you can see that, yeah, we have 1100 in the system and well, there it is. It's in the input bus. So this way we're dedicating one slot per item that we want to electrolyze. And of course, this still works because remember, the purple subnet here can still extract from our drives. This is set to bidirectional. Although actually, hold on, we only have 566 here. So why is this thing saying that we have 1100? I'm going to assume that it's because we have two storage buses in there, but I don't think it'll affect anything really. Let's go ahead and also pull the vanadium magnetite into the centrifuge then. And hopefully now if we turn these guys on, aha, perfect. It actually just works. Oh, and would you look at that? It is going to be a problem, actually. Yeah, this is describing our exact situation. We have multiple storage buses connected to the same inventory. I think we can easily fix that if we have some sort of an on-site buffer. Like with these ME chests, for example. I actually crafted these a while ago for a different type of project, but I guess it's fine if we use them here. So we'll separate these off into a little subnet just with a quartz fiber like so. And then we'll supply the inputs via item P2P. You know, I actually... can you tell I'm not prepared? I'm just thinking about it. If we did it the way we had it before, we wouldn't even need those two P2Ps right there. So, yeah, I guess in the end, they won't go to waste. Anyways, let's hook you up to the electrolyzer channel, and then you can go to the centrifuges. And these ME chests, the way they work is that you put in any kind of storage cell. I have one case here because I don't think we need to go bigger than that. And these are, just like the name says, they are chests, so you can hopper things in or like conduit them, or in our case, use item P2Ps. Although the only way to extract items out of these is by using like an export bus or ME interface. So, okay, let's try that again now. And yeah, the stocking bus has 0 lazurite in it, which is good. So now we just have to set the filters for everything. And I guess this sort of thing won't work with any existing items, but I guess if we just put a higher priority on the storage buses, that should work fine. Although I should probably think of a better solution. Anyways, I believe I just saw this guy working. Oh yeah. All right, very nice. All right, now we just have to add our interface here to collect all the outputs. So that's very nice. I'm going to continue filtering a bunch of ores here. Things like, I don't know, this almandine here. I don't care about the dust itself. Yeah, it's better if we just electrolyze and get this garbage. We also get a fluid output. Ooh, yeah, I actually forgot to deal with that, but I think it should be easy enough. I guess actually we should use an ME output hatch for this. Yeah, that's honestly not a bad idea. So I'll do this in between the cuts. For now, it doesn't really matter. Anyways, yeah, now just before we move on to something other than ore processing, let's actually go ahead and set up that Ilmanite line. We were really only missing the functionality of these two guys to actually set it up. You know, for electrolyzing the green water solution and centrifuging the Ilmanite slag. All right, a few minutes later, I got myself a couple more supplies here. So let's see here. This is the recipe. It's going to be crushed Ilmanite plus sulfuric acid, which is going to give us rutile. And this is the main output that we want. So this has to be done in an EV chemical bath. Thankfully, we already have that. All we have to do is get a dual interface to supply the sulfuric acid and then extract that into an input hatch. And while I'm here, let me also filter in the other two fluids that are needed in the chemical bath, like the sodium persulfate and also mercury. We'll set these up a little bit later though. All right, now we just have to filter that in the chemical bath. I've already gone ahead and crushed up a bunch of ilmanite here, so we just have to let that through to the system. Oh, and this guy's saying that he's missing water, even though it's a chemical bath. I mean, sure, I guess I'll fill up the input hatch with water. Yeah, there we go. All right, there we go. It's now full of water, and it's just saying that there's not enough fluid output space. Of course, that's going to be for the green vitriol solution, which actually, by the way, once we electrolyze this, we do get all of our sulfuric acid back, which means that at least for ilmanite, we won't have to request any from the system. Although I'll still keep this thing here because we still need sulfuric acid in the chemical bath for rare earth processing, and this does get consumed. And so for the recycling step, I guess I'll just like put a storage bus with a lower priority. Anyways, yeah, here's your output bus. Nope, that's not it. Make sure to filter it just in case. And there we go. This thing is running already. Nice. And now here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring the water solution back into the system, just extracting on red. And then on the electrolyzer, we're going to add an input hatch like over here, I guess. Connect it to a storage bus, and then we can filter that for the vitriol solution. And we might as well also give it a sticky card just in case. And now if we just connect it up, we can then turn on the electrolyzer. Oh yeah, I guess we're going to be missing fluid output space, which is fine. That is exactly why we have the ME output hatch. I did go ahead and craft this in between the cuts. And if we right click with a wire cutter, yeah, that lets the ME channels connect to any side. I think I also have to do it for the stocking input bus. And yeah, now the output hatch is online. I did not mean to break it. I think I can just turn this guy on. All right, nice. For the oxygen, I have absolutely no idea where we're going to be storing that. Okay, and it looks like by default, the output hatch can only handle 128 buckets. Although it does have a slot here where we can eventually place like a 16K here to upgrade that capacity. So yeah, that's something to note. Anyways, because I don't really have an area built out for where we're going to store all these fluids, for now, it's just going to go down here. And as I mentioned, we're just going to have super tanks for all this stuff. Let's make sure the tank for sulfuric acid is on the lowest first priority. And I noticed the sulfuric acid wasn't going back into the tank. I think that's actually because, well, the output hatch is technically connected to the subnet since we're connecting it with the stocking input bus. So actually, hold on, disconnect this. We're going to really quickly connect it like that, and that should be good. Yeah, perfect. There we go. All right, let's also add a tank for oxygen. Make sure to avoid excess. We're going to be getting oxygen from a bunch of other items as well from electrolysis. So, and I'm not sure if I really want to, well, expose those fluids to the mainnet. I don't think it really matters. Anyway, so yeah, we are now actually getting a bunch more rutile, and I'm wondering where the ilmenite slag is going because the input bus of the centrifuge doesn't have anything in it. Oh, but it is actually in the ME chest. So, okay, apparently I had the wrong version of it dragged into the bus. Once I pulled the one from NEI, it actually worked. So, okay, that's a little bit weird. Anyways, cool. We're now getting a bunch of tantalum, manganese, magnesium, iron, niobium. All of these are going to be very useful, especially the tantalum actually coming up for the next project of today. But more on that later. Anyways, finally, we now actually have the proper ilmenite processing, and I can actually start producing more titanium. We are getting kind of low. I'm also going to process all of the raw vanadium magnetite that we have, just because we can, really. And I guess I'll do the same for lazurite. Why not? Okay, so it's been a couple of minutes later. I've just been monitoring the couple of machines that we just set up here, see if they work properly. And yeah, so far we haven't ran into any other issues. I also went ahead and filtered in a couple more things to the electrolyzer, mainly the lepidolite and bastnaesite, both of which are mainly for the fluorine, which of course is going to be useful for PTFE. And don't worry, I have like 7,000 bastnaesite, so yeah, we're gonna have plenty of that once I start processing this. Anyways, it's probably a good time now to move on from the ore processing for a little bit. We will come back a little bit later to add a couple things, but for now, yeah, we should just move on. And I'm thinking now we shift our focus towards getting that new battery, because with all the ore processing machines and like the blast furnaces running, our power usage actually starts to spike up quite a bit, which for the most part, it's fine. We haven't had any power losses in quite some time. It's just the capacity of our battery, which is kind of garbage, and I would like to fix that. Oh, and it looks like our engines also have more maintenance problems. You know, I should really get a maintenance detection cover. Anyways, yeah, so the Lapotronic supercapacitor. This is one of the multi-block batteries that you can make in GTNH, and it's actually incredibly scalable because you can keep infinitely well, increasing the height of it and adding more and more batteries. That's what those blocks in the middle are. They're capacitors. And the capacitors themselves have different tiers. So we can either go for the Lapotronic capacitors, which is 60 million EU per, or what I'm leaning towards is we go for the IV capacitors, which are 600 million each. And if we go with the smallest supercapacitor, that's going to be what, 9? Which in total is going to be this much EU storage. That's what, 5.4 billion, I think? So yeah, let's see what we can do about that. I've already gone ahead and encoded the Lapotronic energy orbs. And if we want 9 of those, that is going to be incredibly expensive. Okay, looks like we're just missing a bunch of aqua lenses and platinum. Okay, thankfully we do have enough platinum. We only need 12 stacks of the metallic powder, and the recipe is only 3 seconds, so this should be done relatively soon. And so actually that just leaves the aqua lenses, and I think that's only because we need, yeah, a bunch of engraved Lapotron chips. It's about 200 in total, but I think I can split it up into batches of 100. Yeah, and then we'll start this craft up. Although first, hold up, I'm going to take out all of the circuits that I already have in the system. These are reserved for something else. Alright, now for the rest of the multi-block. It's going to be this Lapotronic supercapacitor casing plus borosilicate glass. And we should be fine on both fronts. I have to make more of this glass, but as we saw last time, it's going to be super easy. I just have to electrolyze more of this borax. And now for the casings and the controller block, I think I have enough materials already. I made sure to pre-craft all of this in between the episodes, and yeah, there we go. For reference, this is the material cost. It's a bunch of tantalum and tungsten steel, plus some lapis blocks. Tantalum, we've had that for a while, and tungsten steel, it looks like, thankfully, I do have enough already cooked up. I'm just missing a recipe of the plates, but that's sitting right here, actually. It's there because I kind of ran out of pattern slots, but yeah, so let's get the 46 casings we're missing. Now, as for the controller block, well, in between the episodes, I noticed that this takes LUV circuits, so I've already pre-crafted those. So now all we're missing is the Lapotrons and also one casing, which probably means I should request these right now. Yeah, well, I guess all that's left to do is a bunch of AFK. Yeah, these machines here are going to be working for, well, the next few hours, I would suspect. This is a very expensive craft after all. Oh, and by the way, if you can't afford all the 9 capacitors, there are these empty versions, which don't do anything, obviously. They're just there to fill the gaps, but they do have one slot caveat, which is, well, you need to at least have more than half of the capacitors not be empty. So if you're going with the IVs, you still need to craft 5 of them at least, which honestly is not a bad idea. It would be much less expensive than the 9 that I'm trying to craft, but I think we're in too deep now. Yeah, at this point, I'm committed to getting the full 9. I think we'll be fine. Anyways, yeah, I'll go AFK now, and I guess I'll see you guys in just a moment. Hello. We're back. It's been like 3 hours since the last cut. I've been waiting absolutely forever, but oh my goodness, finally. If we go over to the terminal, you'll see that all 200 Lapotron chips have finally finished crafting, alongside all the other garbage that we need for the multi-block. Oh wait, no, I actually still need a couple more Lapotron crystals here for the controller block. I think I might have accidentally used the ones that I was reserving. But yeah, this shouldn't take too long. Anyways, oh my goodness, finally, this took absolutely forever. And it also kept breaking a lot when I was using the EV laser engraver here with our formation plane setup. And I think that was mainly because the recipe is sending 4 Lapotrons at a time, and this could only handle one of them at a time, because you can't push multiple stacks of the same item into one machine. It's just the way that GregTech works. So what I did is I just dedicated a whole laser engraver here. We have an interface that goes to the battle, into Hopper, into the machine, and then we auto output to the dual interface right next to it. Anyways, yeah, while all this stuff cooks up, I should probably mention the fact that, well, as you just saw now, I actually made a bunch of these dynamo and energy hatches. 2 of them are 64 amps, and 1 of them is 16 amps. The dynamo is how we're gonna extract energy out of the battery, and the energy hatch as well, how we're gonna charge it up. You know, since this is a multi-block after all. And so actually, while I wait for the Lapotrons, I should probably explain a couple more things about this. So the main 2 bottlenecks that we have right now with our current battery is, first of all, it just doesn't store enough, which means that the engines are very frequently turning on and off. They turn on, they charge up the battery to full capacity, then they stay off until we have, I think this is set to 25%. And the problem is that we're just discharging the battery too fast, which is not great because these things have a little startup cost, where even though they're consuming the same amount of fuel as if they're running at full capacity, they actually only generate a couple hundred EU, so which is incredibly wasteful for our diesel. So yeah, at least with the bigger battery, these guys are going to turn on once and then basically stay on for a very long time. Remember, our new capacity is going to be like 5 billion EU, so these guys are going to be on for quite some time to try and fill it up. And yeah, that way, hopefully, we're going to have less frequent turning off and on of the engine, which is great. Now, the second bottleneck that we're experiencing is that there's a few times where our power will peak over the maximum output that we can handle, which is 32,000 EU per tick. And so actually, that's exactly why we have a 64 amp dynamo hatch here. If you look at the Wayla, this of course has a throughput of 131,000 EU per tick, which honestly should be plenty for quite some time. And of course, we have the 64 amp energy hatch to match it. Well, I mean, it's not like we're going to be generating that much power anytime soon, but still, it's nice to have. The other 16 amp dynamo hatch, this is just going to go to the HV transformer. I want the HV power to be separated just because, well, I want to. That's literally the only reason. And so yeah, I think actually let's stop all the yapping. I think we can actually get to crafting the multi-block. Alright, now this is where things can get a little bit tricky because I'm going to have to, well, kind of cut off power to the entire base. First of all, let me just make sure that the engines will not run for a second. And let me go around and just turn off anything that's using power. I think it's mainly the EBF and also the ore processing. Yeah, I think we're actually still processing Ilmanite, which is kind of crazy. I think we're up to like 10,000 rutile by now. Yeah, 11,000 rutile. That's quite a bit. We also have 13,000 tungsten trioxide, also 33,000 redstone. I managed to process the rest of the ore that we had. And also a bunch of lazurite that should not be here. I think I might have to replace this storage bus here with like some sort of an interface that is constantly requesting the items. Yeah, instead of the storage bus, which is only going to work if things are flowing through the system. Okay, I think now we should be good. The 3,000 that it's outputting right now, I think is just to power the ME system. So now we should be fine to just break this. Okay, nothing happened. Well, at least not yet, which is good. Okay, then first things first, there's the 64 amp dynamo hatch, which also means I'm going to need 16x black steel cable to actually handle that much throughput. Oh, there's the first power fell. I think it's just a chemical reactor for rubber because I took out some to, well, make the black steel cable, of course. Yeah, it's trying to fill the buffer. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so there you go now. Or the transformer, we want him to face this way. And then there's your 16 amps of EV as well. And then for power input, that can go right here, I guess. All right, now there's the rest of the casings. And oh my goodness, wait. Wait, I can't believe I actually missed it. Hold up. Okay, wait. Okay, we're getting power. So here's a fun fact, right? You can have a battery multi-block, but if you don't actually have the capacitors, well, the battery's not gonna work. Yeah, we have the engraved Lapotron chips, but not the Lapotrons themselves. Although we can craft them right now. Okay, and just so you know, these things are not cheap. This is what the recipe looks like. It's a bunch of platinum nano CPUs, some power ICs, that's fine, the engraved Lapotrons, and also more advanced circuit board, which is energetic alloy. There's a little bit of aluminum. Oh yeah, and it's also fiber reinforced epoxy resin sheet, which is molten epoxy plus raw carbon fiber. So yeah, it's a little bit involved, but I mean, actually, all in all, it doesn't seem that bad. It's really just the Lapotron cost. Anyways, yeah, let's get this started here. Okay, I can't believe I actually missed that last crucial step. All right, I'll AFK a little bit here and wait until all this stuff is done. See you guys in just a moment. Okay, there we go. And it looks like if I want the quest for this stuff, I'm gonna have to do a little bit more work. Oh yeah, I just have to get the quest for the empty fiber board here. Okay, nice. Now we just have to combine that with a bunch of lapis parts and we get the Lapotronic capacitors. Okay, I think now we can actually get rid of this stuff here. Then we finish the rest of the multi-block like so. It's going to be 2 layers of this casing here, which we had actually perfect amounts of. Okay, that's surprising. All right, now we place in the capacitors down the middle and surround this with borosilicate glass. Although we probably should have gone with reinforced glass here because it's EV tier. The tier of the glass actually does matter for the multi-block. That's what decides what type of capacitor that you can use. Because we're using HV here, I think the maximum capacitor tier that we can have is LUV. Anyways, yeah, let's do the maintenance. This multi-block requires maintenance as well, which is going to be worrying, but I guess we'll take care of that when we need to anyways. So yep, this is our total capacity. We already knew that. We're storing 0 EU. We have used up none of our capacity. It tells us the time to empty or the time to fill up, depending on whether or not we're producing or using up more power. And we also get a passive loss of 31 EU per tick. Yeah, if you look at the tooltip, it does say there that it loses 1% of the total capacity every 24 hours. Ooh, and the maintenance will multiply the passive loss. Okay, I was actually wondering about that. I was originally thinking that maintenance problems just completely stop the battery, and well, that's kind of a problem, but I guess it's not too big of a deal. As in, our base will still continue to function. It's just going to lose a lot of power. Anyways, there we go. We're inputting some power. I think it's just leftover energy in the energy hatches. I should also rename our P2P accordingly because this is now 64 amps of EV. And yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, of course, we're going to have to replace our energy detection setup. And because we have the detector covers facing a block, I think we have to hit him with a soldering iron. Yeah, so that the redstone output is actually strong and it passes through the block to this red alloy wire, which is going to do the thing that we want it to do. So let's again set this to 90%. Actually, because the capacity is bigger, we can go a little higher, 95%. And then for the other guy, this will be just like 20%, which is, that's actually 1 billion EU. Okay, no, that's too much. Let's go 5%. Yeah, 200 million is fine. Remember, we're trying to make it so that whenever we need power, we want the engines to run for as long as possible at a time. Alright, I finished connecting everything up. We should see power going up. And just so that we're not being wasteful, I'm gonna put all the charge that's in these batteries also. I can just go ahead and hook up the battery to this guy. Oh, but I think the cable is gonna... Yep. Yeah, the cable burned. It's too many amps. That is easily fixable by just using a 64 amp cable right there. Alright, well, anyways, finally we have a good battery now. I think I'm just gonna let this be. I guess we'll come back in a few hours to see that the battery is full, maybe. For now, it's time to move on to the next thing on our list here. But first, I'm gonna take a quick break here, actually. Yeah, I'll just be letting the server run for a little bit here, edit some more of the footage as usual, and well, yeah, I'll see you guys in just a moment. Alright, so welcome back. It's actually the next day for me here, and well, it's about time that we get started on upgrading our autocrafting. Yeah, I've pinned a couple of things here, but we'll come back to these in a second. But yeah, as you can see right now, I've gone ahead and already did a couple of things towards that goal. So the little machine wall that we had over here has been kind of extended, and in this area we can have a lot more machines. I also have a symmetrical setup on the other side. But yeah, so what I'm thinking to do is move all of the spammed machines, so all of those assemblers and extruders and mixers, I'm gonna move them to over here. I do have some HV cables running alongside the EV things, so this is not only limited to EV stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna move all those guys to over here. That way, this space here will get cleared out so that I can move in these machines. And then that way I can extend this little area out to where we're gonna have our multi-blocks. Which for now, we're only gonna start off by making the bending machine, the lathe, and the wire mill. Those are currently my biggest bottlenecks. Bending machine is just for foils. The plates is fine. The wire mill here is because we make a ton of wires. And the lathe is mainly for Certus quartz rods, which I use in, yeah, AE2 cable crafting. Now, when I was building this new area here out, I wanted to kind of make it so that we can easily have 2 interfaces on each of the machines. Unlike this setup over here where, yeah, you can kind of have 2 interfaces on the same machine for extra pattern slots, but, well, the channel situation down there is just absolutely atrocious. It's kind of garbage to work with. So instead, this time around, we have everything connecting up via dense cable right here. And then we can take 1 row of cables like so, extend that, and then we can have interfaces on the back of whatever machine is going to sit here. And then when I want the second interface, I can just grab from this cable over here and go on the top. It's better than this because if you look at this cable here, there's 6 cables, which means that we can have a potential 12 interfaces. But as we all know, the regular cables can only handle 8 channels. So yeah, this doesn't really even work like that. And so yeah, let me go ahead and quickly move all the assemblers and stuff, reshuffle all the things around, and then I'll bring you back. Alright, well, there you go. There's that done. Also, for whatever reason, I have like 3 extra assembly machines that, well, have no interfaces attached to them. So I guess when I was rebuilding this, I might have optimized a couple of the pattern spots. And well, these guys are now useless. Although that's fine. We need lots and lots of different assembly recipes. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll leave them be. I'll probably find some other use for them later. Anyways, it's now time to also move these guys. But before I do that, I should definitely craft a replacement of the bending machine, the wire mill, and the lathe. Just like what I said before. Yeah, we'll upgrade to the multi-blocks before moving those guys here. And that should save a little bit of space. And so yeah, let's see here. Let's start off with the bending machine, which also doubles as a forming press, so I'm gonna need to craft 2 of these. I will, however, have to make some more EV machine hulls and casings. So yep, more waiting on the bending machine. Alright, they're finally done crafting, so let's see. I need more stuff. And also while I'm waiting, I should get all the EV components. So first of all, there's the 2 EV bending machines, and with just a little bit of titanium and more circuits, we can upgrade them to the material press. And for the casing, you would think that these are just regular titanium casings, but no, they're the material press machine casing, which has a recipe that looks like this. It's actually not too bad. It's just a bunch of Tumbaga and also Tantalloy 60, which let me assume it's in the alloy blast melter. Yeah. Oh, okay. It's actually fairly cheap. Just a bunch of tantalum and tungsten. And actually, that's very nice for us because we already have a bunch of tantalum from the Ilmanite processing, and tungsten's never really been an issue. Oh, and while we wait for this stuff, I actually just remembered. I did a couple things here at the capacitor. So first of all, we actually did pass the threshold of stopping the engines because I let the server run for a while, as I said I was going to. But also what I went ahead and did is I added a needs maintenance cover on the bottom face, as you can see, which is emitting a redstone signal whenever we have any maintenance issues. And then that redstone signal goes to this howler alarm that I made, which makes a very annoying noise whenever we have maintenance. Yep. It has a 128 block range, so we're definitely going to hear this. And yeah, that lets us know that there's maintenance on the capacitor. We can come and fix those and we won't have any issues. I also did the same thing for the clean room. We have a howler alarm and the needs maintenance cover on top, because this is also another place where we don't want to have any maintenance problems ever. And I configured this guy to make a different noise. Yeah, it does this one, which... well, it's just distinct between them. If we hear that sound, then it's the clean room. And if we hear the other one, then it's the battery. Anyways, yeah, so all of my tantalloy rods are now ready, alongside the Tumbaga, so we should be able to make our casings here. We shouldn't really need too many of the casings because, well, we're going to be filling the multi-block mostly with input buses. That way we can have different circuit numbers and whatnot. This is basically the main advantage of having multis other than, well, the speed boost and parallels. Oh yeah, and for these, I think maybe I want to also have ME output buses to send back the outputs to the system. We are going to need 4 of them in total, and... oh, we're missing more platinum. God damn it. I wanted them because these machines here are just really, really fast and they produce a lot of outputs at a time. So yeah, LV output buses really aren't going to cut it. Maybe I should go with HVs. And then once we have the platinum, we'll upgrade them to the ME buses. Anyways, enough stalling. Next up is going to be the lathe, which needs IV circuits, tungsten steel, and then the EV lathe, which we can easily do. And then we just need solid steel casings, which is cheap enough. There's also a couple other things like the grate machine casing, which, yeah, that's just a bunch of steel, iron, and MV motors. It's easy enough. We need a bunch of glass, which is fine. I think I can go with really any tier. Yeah, the tooltip doesn't say that the tier of glass matters. What does matter, though, is the pipe casing tier, which gives us more parallels. So we definitely want to go with the highest that we can. And it looks like technically maybe we can afford platinum. The next tier is osmium, so we can't do that. But again, I don't have enough platinum for this, so we're just going to go 1 tier lower, which is electrum. Yeah, and that's cheap enough. Alright, cool. Now, moving on to the last multi-block for the moment. We have everything to make the IV wire mill, except for platinum cable, but I can easily request that. So there we go. And now I'm just missing... oh, I thought that was tungsten steel. Okay, this is a new alloy here. It's called blue steel. No, it does not have a recipe in the ABS, so it's regular blast furnace material. And it actually doesn't look that bad. I think I have everything here already encoded. Oh, and I actually already even have some of that, but let's see about getting like 4 stacks of this. Okay, a little bit of AFK later, and we should have all the blue steel parts that we need to, first of all, make the casings, and now we can also get the controller block. And alright, after I get the 9 great machine casings that we're still missing, I should now have everything I need for the multi-blocks. So yeah, as usual, we're going to be running all these at EV, and I think actually that's all the information you need to know, at least for now. So I'm going to get back to, well, moving all this stuff into their new locations. I need to then expand the platform here so that we can fit in the multis and also make sure there's room for extra expansion. Because obviously there's still more multi-blocks to be had. Like, you know, the extruder, the cutting machine, the laser engraver, the fluid solidifier, and also fluid extractor. Oh, there's even a forge hammer multi-block. I might want to invest in this as well if that becomes a problem. But yeah, you get the gist of it. There's still a bunch of other stuff that we need to plan for. So yeah, let me do that real quick here and then we'll be back. Alright, and there you have it. There's my 3 multi-blocks set up. So, let's go through it real quick here. I decided to just extend the path that we had along there, and then kind of bringing that forward here where we can have a little staircase up, because I wanted to do a more vertical design with multiple layers, as you can see. And I split this room in two. So for the first half, this is going to be multiple of these identical platforms. They're all the exact same size, which is a 5x7. And these are going to be for the multi-blocks that have this sort of cube shape. Yeah, quite a number of the multi-blocks have this exact same shape, like the cutting machine here, or the forge hammer, the extruder, and I think also the mixer. Well, actually, this is more like a 3x3, but if we flip it so that it lays on its side, then it'll be the exact same shape. So yeah, I'm just going to keep adding more and more platforms as we need them. As for the other side, this one is 11 blocks long, and it's going to be for those multi-blocks that are kind of weirdly shaped. Like, I don't know, the fluid extractor here, or the multi-block compressor. Even though we have a steam one, we'll probably still be investing in this. Or like the polarizer as well, or like the fluid solidifier, which actually has a variable length. So yeah, we'll have to accommodate for that, but you get the gist. Basically, these platforms are going to be on a case-by-case basis. Also, that output bus right there for the lathe is not where it's supposed to be. But yeah, so for example, for the lathe, it's 5 blocks wide, so we have a 7-block platform. And it's going to be the same thing for the next machine. We'll just add 2 blocks to the width of it, just so that it has a little wood border. But yeah, so I tried to like standardize the way that we're setting everything up. So the maintenance is right next to the controller block. The energy hatch is also right next to it, right here. For the input buses, we have them on the bottom layer. And then for the output, we have it in the back middle. There's honestly no reason to standardize these. Every multi-block is so different that, well, we're going to inevitably have to switch up the standard. But I don't know, I just did it that way because I could. Anyways, I've already hooked up the AE2 channels. We have one dedicated P2P for each of the sides. And I also pre-crafted like 20 of these interfaces, so that's cool. And all the old patterns are still right here in these chests. So yeah, actually, let's start off with the bending machine here. We'll grab the chest for that. And because we have so many bending machine recipes, and we're definitely going to have a lot more soon enough, I think for the input bus, which is going to have circuit 1, we are going to use conduits, something like that, and then that way we can have multiple interfaces. Of course, you can have the interface on just a separate bus also with circuit 1, but I want to do it this way, so I will. Now, of course, we're also going to want power, and I think I'm just going to dedicate 1 P2P per machine. It's going to make it easier in the future whenever we want to overclock this stuff. Yeah, once we want these to be like running at IV, we can just switch out the energy hatch and also switch out the frequency. It's going to be a lot easier, even though it does cost a couple more channels, but who cares? And actually, I'm going to go ahead and multiply the patterns out even more than I already am for a couple of these things. These machines are going to be so fast that it's almost necessary to do this. Yeah, just trust me on this. You'll see in a moment. All right, so let's try and request like 4 stacks of steel plates here. We do see that the input bus is filled up with items, okay. And now let's turn them on. Wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, it did all of that in like 3.2 seconds? I know I said it was going to be fast, but I didn't expect it to actually be that fast. I was expecting more like a stack every couple of seconds, but all right, awesome. Yeah, so now we just have to grab all those outputs. We'll just have an interface on the output bus. Oh, you know what would be a good test to do right now? Yeah, let's go ahead and try and do the golden electron foils. These are our biggest bottlenecks, if you guys remember, for circuit production, that is. Okay, let's go ahead and request like 1,000 gold foil. And now we turn it on. Okay, yeah, this is more of the speed that I was expecting. It's 6.4 seconds for 1 full stack of ingots, which is, well, that's still absolutely insane. It's way, way faster than what we had it before. Yeah, look at that. In 20 seconds, it's already done with 1,000 foil, which would have taken, I don't know, like 20 minutes before. All right, now we're going to do the same exact thing, but for the other guy, which I'm going to have to switch the mode to forming press. Yep. Oh, actually, hold on. First, I'm going to add a circuit 2 input bus for the bending machine. So yeah, now I can finally do the double plates, which I think it's used in input buses. So yeah, finally we can autocraft those. And yeah, now we can do the forming press, which of course is going to be for all the printed stuff, alongside the universal circuits, which I might as well put on their own separate input bus. I think we also want a circuit 1 input bus, mainly for mica, and I guess we'll place in all these other recipes, which I should also multiply. And I should be able to place in all the inscriber presses in 1 input bus. There's no recipe conflicts here, so it should be fine. Oh yeah, and make sure to multiply the patterns, of course. Okay, now let's request a stack of logic processors, for example, and let's see here. Oh, nice. It does the full stack of printed stuff in 3 seconds. All right, that's awesome. All right, now we should move on to the wire mill, which is going to be really, really nice, actually, because now I can actually get rid of all these recipes in the molecular assemblers for wires. And instead of having like this many patterns, we can just have the input bus itself be on like circuit 4, for example, for all the 4x wires. Now that does mean I'm going to have to re-encode a bunch of this, but it's fine. Let me also not forget to hook up the output bus. And now here's the updated pattern list. I was able to optimize quite a couple of them, which is nice. So let's test it out with a bunch of copper wires. Oh yeah, and I did also plug in the lathe while I was at it. So let's test that out. I don't have enough Certus quartz. Okay, yeah, let's just request 4 stacks. All right, so let's start with the wire mill. Oh, and it's doing all 8 stacks in 6 seconds. Wow. All right, let's see about the lathe now. Okay, 50 seconds for 1. That is pretty good. Yeah, before the recipe was like 1 every 6 seconds, but now it's 50 every 6 seconds, which, well, obviously that's a lot faster. I'm happy with the speed. Although definitely once I get enough platinum, I will make sure to upgrade the pipe casing so that we get even more parallels. And yeah, there we go. We now have upgraded auto-crafting capabilities. Let's go ahead and actually claim the loot bags for all this stuff. We get a couple EVs. Also, we do get an IV bag as well, which is nice. And that even reminds me. Yeah, this quest right here also gives us another IV, and also in the IV chapter, the machine hull recipe, or the quest for it also gives us another one. So let's actually open a couple of these bags. Not the IV ones though. I will save these until we have some fortune books so we can enchant them. For now, let's do a couple EVs here. Oh, okay, that's not bad. We get some more nichrome cable, EV conveyors, that's nice. Some circuit components, who cares, and then some wafers, and like some extra conduit bits and stuff. Ooh, there's another IV bag that I have for some reason, so go ahead and store that as well. Anyways, yeah, so now I think it's about time that we move on to something else, which is going to be the last thing we do for today's episode. And it's going to involve all that HSSG that I mentioned at the beginning of today's episode, because we're going to go ahead and upgrade the coils once more. So we're going to need 26 coils to upgrade both the blast furnaces, but I think I also want to actually upgrade to having a quad blast furnace right now, which means we're going to want an extra 20 coils to go along with it. So 46 coils in total. For now, I'll just get 26 and then I'll get the other 20 in between the episodes. That's just because I don't have enough of the HSSG to make all of them right now. I'll cook up like another 100 ingots in between the episodes. Yeah, I can easily afford it. Anyways, for now, let's throw all the HSSG we'll need in the wire mill. 170 wires every 6 seconds. That's awesome. And there we go. It's already done. And now, of course, I'm going to need a bunch of mica foil. I guess I'll just go with like 1,000. Yep, that should be fine. And now comes the tricky part, which is, well, to actually make the coils, we need an IV assembly machine, which in total is going to be 4 IV circuits. So let's see if we can get that. Oh yeah, that's pretty easy. And now all the foils shouldn't be a bottleneck. Yeah, I think I already finished doing all of them, which is nice. Okay, a couple of minutes of AFK later, we have the circuits now. And while I was waiting, I made 2 more EBF controllers and some heatproof casing. Oh yeah, and all the mica foils already done. All right, now let's see what we're missing. We just need another IV hull, some conveyors and robot arms. Not sure if we can get those. It looks like the conveyor arms are fine. And I just have to encode the robot arm plus the piston as well. And then we'll see what we're missing. Oh, we can actually already request it. All right, so in the end, it's not too bad. I'm really glad we have all this infrastructure here. Yeah, because even though all this IV stuff does look kind of scary, we seem to be just fine with handling everything. Like, yeah, these crafts are expensive, but we can afford it, so who cares? Anyways, yeah, I think I'm also still missing the molten TPV alloy for the coils. Yeah, I literally only have 1 ingot left, so I think actually, you know what? I'm just going to recycle a couple of these guys. Yeah, each one of these is 8 ingots, so definitely going to do this. It's not like we're going to use these anywhere else other than like maybe for titanium. Because if we use these guys, then we should get a perfect overclock. For now, I don't think we care. And if I'm going to need 46 coils, that's 46 ingots, which is only like 5 of these. No, 6 of them. Okay, so I just went to recycle the coils and I'm just now realizing we don't actually have an on-demand arc furnace. So it's probably about time that we do that. Let's see what the multi-block costs. Oh no. And then a bunch of this garbage here. Okay, no. Yeah, single block is fine. Hold up. All right, cool. There's that going now. Okay, there we go. I kind of forgot that we have to do the quest where we hold all the components, so I just quickly encoded all of them and auto-crafted them. It wasn't actually that expensive. Ooh, and the quest gives us some more tungsten steel. I'm taking that. All right, cool. I think I can now just get started. I have everything else in my inventory. The only problem we have now is how to actually power this thing, and I think for now, because we don't have access to the IV dynamo hatches, we should still just be able to get away with some sort of a transformer, and I guess we can just place you right there. This is one of the best parts about having EUP2P. I can have power literally anywhere, so yeah, we'll place down the assembler right there. Yep, he is already getting power. Nice. And I believe we can just start inputting stuff in, I guess. Nice. 7,000 EU per tick. That's 30 seconds per coil. But yeah, we are crafting them now. And so actually with that, I think we're going to wrap up the episode here. We'll start off next time by actually implementing the coils and getting the other 2 blast furnaces online. Although there's just one last quick thing that I want to get done with before we stop. And that's going to be enabling the chemical bath processes to actually continue. So we have a bunch of ore here that's waiting to be chemical bathed, but we're still missing the sodium persulfate and mercury automations for them. So yeah, here's what we're going to do to fix that. So here we have one more chemical reactor and the HV electrolyzer. And this is going to be for the sodium persulfate. So if we look at the recipe here, it's going to be electrolyzing sodium bisulfate, which for us is going to come from a mixture of sulfuric acid plus sodium hydroxide. And then we get a byproduct of water, which we are just going to trash. Yeah, we'll just void excess fluids in the controller. And let's go ahead and also filter those things in. This then has to be on circuit 9 and... Okay, thank you for losing power. I was gonna say let's filter the output bus here, and I guess we have to plug in some connections. Okay, so let's see here. We're gonna need an HV connection for the electrolyzer. That's easy enough. And then we'll just have a dedicated transformer for the MV energy hatch. Okay, and now we should be able to turn this guy on. Nice. Now, the sodium hydroxide is something that we get from electrolyzing salt water, as we already know. But right now, I'm kind of treating it as a byproduct and not something that we actually consistently produce. I should probably put a drawer upgrade on this. Yeah, here you go. All right, now coming back to the electrolyzer, we just have to give him some empty cells and deal with the hydrogen byproduct, which obviously that's just going to be a couple conveyors and auto outputting. Yeah, it's nothing special. We're going to output into the super tank and then void overflow. All right, now we'll extract both of those on red and of course send that back to the system, which means we'll have to give this thing its own super tank. I was debating whether or not to actually store all 4,000 buckets, but we're going to be using a ton of this, so I think it's fine if we buffer that much. Anyways, it should already be going into the chemical bath. Yep, exactly. And yeah, we can turn this guy on, although I won't just yet because we have to deal with the recipe conflict of things like nickel here, where I want it to be processed using mercury, you know, for the platinum byproduct, but the nickel also has a recipe in sodium persulfate, which is less useful. And there is a fix for this sort of thing without just having to make another chemical bath. But I think we're going to leave that for next episode. I've already dragged this on too long. So yeah, next time we'll come back to do that. And I really don't know what to do for next episode, actually. I don't have a plan yet. Maybe we'll deal with the plat line, at least a simple one, you know, for regular platinum dust. Yeah, we're not dealing with the rest of the plat line just yet. I mean, just being able to produce a bunch of platinum is going to be already good enough. I think also maybe next time we should look into the tier 2 rocket. Yeah, I really want to wrap this part of the quest book up. And it'll be nice because it'll get me more uranium, which means I'll be able to get plutonium. And of course, that will let me set up the radon loop that I talked about a while ago. It'll be nice to have a passive production of this rather than what I can just get from radium processing. Anyways, yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. We'll come back next time to do the things that I just said we were going to do. But for now, though, have a great rest of your day.